How are we ranking this? We're ranking at 4, right? Okay, cool.
3.
Oh, whoa!
3.
Where's the votes? Where's the votes at? I just want to make sure.
So much for this.
Where's the votes? You know what I'm saying?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Dualshockers ranking. I am your host, Sam Woods. I'm the SEO editor over at Dualshockers, and today me and my panel of esteemed guests are tasked with the job of ranking all of the mainline Pokemon games in celebration of the franchise's 25th anniversary. Before we get into how it's going to work, let me introduce my panel. Joining me from Dualshockers, I have 3 of my brilliant colleagues. I've got Charlie Wacholz. How are you doing, Charlie?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I am doing wonderful, my friend. Cam Hawkins, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to talk about Pokemon. I love Pokemon.
Thought you might be. And making sure everything ticks over nicely, we have Mario Rivera. How are you, Mario?
I'm doing really good. I too have my own little plushie, my favorite Pokemon. He's my favorite.
I hate you.
My favorite Pokemon.
This is going to be a long night.
The energy in here is already going. It's great. Right, and now joining us are 2 very special guests. First up, you may know her from her time at IGN and on the MVC podcast. You may know her for her love of Waluigi. It's Lily Zaldivar. Welcome to Dualshockers, Lily.
Thank you for having me. Yes, always. Waluigi is my number 1 crush in everything, but I also do love Pokemon. That's why I'm here. It's not to talk about Waluigi. That's my 2. That's it. I'm done. Thank you so much.
No worries. And then we have a proper Pokemon expert. He hosts the Poke Ramble podcast and is a member of Simply Sassy Vids. It's Kuamil. How's it going, dude?
Hey, I'm just starstruck by Lily because she said she's on MVC. I'm like, oh shit, really? I was like, wow.
I was on it last week, and then I was on it 3 years ago. Back in the
You were like part of the
Yeah.
main crew. Like I was listening to NBC when you were on the main crew.
a long time ago.
And then we met. At E3 in 2019. And then you like, but I like it was an awkward me just being like, "You're Lily from IGN," and then you're just like, "We was at the Cuphead panel," and you're like, "Yeah, I am." I was just like, "I'm so sorry I made this awkward. I'm gonna turn around now. Have a good day."
That was like right after I had left, and then I like there were people that, and in my brain I went I will tell you right now, the biggest thing that went through my brain was was leaving like the biggest mistake of my life. Like, oh my god, what did I do? That's pretty much how I felt. So that's why every time someone said, "Oh, you're Lily from NBC," back then I went like the flashbacks of like, did I make a bad decision? Came back.
legitimately, not even saying this because you're here right now, but you were like one of my favorite parts of MVC when you were on the show.
So much.
You were very diverse to everyone else, and I really enjoyed you when you were on the show. So when you left, I was like, no, I wanted
I'm just upset that you were both at E3 and I was there too. That is my belly at that time.
I mean, when conventions happen again, post-COVID, whenever COVID ends, if it ever does, it probably never will. But when conventions come back, I mean, I'm always so happy to see everybody. Like, I always am just like, please, if you're going to a convention, let me know. Let's like get drinks, get coffee, whatever. Because that's like what Brandon Groom from Pass the Controller, he
Friend
invited
of the show.
he invited me to come to PAX
Brandon.
for the first time. And I was so excited to like go and meet everybody. So I'm always just like, please, I may have been on like IGN, NBC or whatever, but like I always love seeing people and like meeting people and being friends with people.
Love that
So that's
energy.
That's like my favorite part. So
All
and also the
about that.
always so fun.
So yeah, this is how this is going to go. We're already off topic and we've not even started.
We're just praising Lily. We're praising Lily.
My bad.
This is the Dualshockers way. We go off topic and we go right back into the topic. We're all set.
Lily has made it. Lily has made it. We all aspire to be where Lily was. Is. So it's just like
10%. Even 10% is enough for me,
You know what? Google has told me that I'm a Pokemon master and I have the business cards to prove it. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So yeah, with introductions out of the way, with the first kind of off-topic chat out of the way, let's figure out how it's going to play out. So we're going to go through the generations one by one, starting with Blue, Red, Yellow, ending with Sword and Shield. We'll talk about our favourite parts of the games, what they added, what they changed, what they improved, how we feel about the Pokemon, and then we'll decide where we rank each game over the course of the video, we'll end up with our definitive ranking of all of the Pokemon games. So we're going to start in generation order, like I say, red, blue, yellow, all the way to Sword and Shield. Black and White 2 and Ultra Sun and Moon are going to be in there. Then we're going to have a look at the remakes and see where we want to slot those in. So buckle up, because we've got 14 games to talk about. That's a lot of Pokemon. So with that, let's jump into the originals. Red, blue, and yellow. First games of the series. Who wants to talk about those first?
Can I just say you should make the subtitle of this episode "Gotta rank them all"?
Yeah, 100%.
Winner.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to do that. So I'm excited.
Ranking them? Oh boy.
I mean, I'll start because I think for the most part I was very cognizant when they first came out, with the television show already kind of happening, the cards already happening, and of course the video games. I remember getting my Game Boy Color, and I got the yellow version, which was awesome. And it came at this time, the game that I got first was actually yellow. Yellow was awesome. The fact that Pikachu was a character that followed you around. Exactly. God, I missed that damn thing. The tragic story with my Pokemon Yellow console, of course, is that I went down a slide and it was in my back pocket. And it bled like it was from like Blade Runner. It was bleeding black ink, and I was like, "What's happening?"
Oh my god!
I thought you were joking, but that's the thing that actually happened.
Yeah, and
that
I was like,
terrifying.
I was like, "What's happening?" And I never played Pokemon again. I don't know why I'm here. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, obviously the red blue era, with the fact that I remember this was also the same time with the Game Shark was a big thing, and we would do like the flying Pikachu and the surfing Pikachu, the mystery gnome with like getting the 99 rare candies and mystery balls. Like this was this whole era, and it was so much fun at my time.
Yeah, I remember vividly going to pick up Pokemon Blue from Toys R Us. Like, I remember the day. I remember getting in my dad's car. I remember not really knowing a lot about Pokemon at the time, and then from then I played it and loved it. It was back in the time pre-internet, so it was back in the time where rumors would spread like, oh, if you run around the car 4 times and then go and see Bill, and then Mew will come out and all of that stuff. So I think that was what was magical about kind of those times for me.
I remember someone telling me if you look outside the window, you can get to the Orange Islands.
Yeah. So for me, like, they're going to be near the top of this list. Obviously, we're like super, super early days, but I think it can't be understated. Like, it's the biggest franchise of any property in the world.
Yeah.
And it started there.
I've already put it in as number 1, so I'm just going to go ahead and just paste that.
I mean, it goes as number 1, right? Because it's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say as much as it is the beginning, it started everything off for everybody. I don't think it's the best one. Obviously, putting it as number 1 because it is the first. And, but I understand the nostalgia of it. Trust me, I'm a big fan of nostalgia. Like, that's usually why I play like all the games that I play. But granted, let's put it at number 1 for its respect. But
it's not going to hang there. I don't.
No, it's just number 1 out of formality because it's the first.
Let's just talk about how influential that game was, because you being in the, for me, I was in school at that time. Being in the playground, everyone had like Pokemon on their Game Boys, playing it around the place, trading, battling. I remember having friends come over to my house and we all just sit down and play Pokemon. It was crazy.
There was some kid.
The games themselves, like, it's so fun going to different gyms. You had Pokemon Yellow, which was more like the anime. Like, some of the gym leaders had like some of the Pokemon changed up to like suit the anime teams and whatever. But I think Jesse and James. My biggest criticism with Red, Blue, and Yellow is that when you play them, it can get a bit confusing as to where should I go now, because sometimes you'd be going around in circles. This guard won't let you go past because he's drinking his coffee or whatever. It's like, so those games are not designed as good as what we've got going forward. But yeah, it was so influential. And like, sorry to go on, but like, when you see Pokemon represented in like TV shows like the Big Fat Quiz of the Air and whatnot, you still have the Generation 1 starters everywhere. So yeah. I'd say it's really influential. So
I would agree with that. I think one of the things that is nice about Red, Blue, and Yellow, well, I would exclude Yellow in this one because Yellow is mostly like the story of what we see and what we have seen in the anime. So I'm going to exclude this one from that. But with Red and Blue, I think the nice part about it is that when you play it and when you played it as a kid or as an adult, it doesn't cater to you. Because that's the one thing that I'm very frustrated about when it comes to like recent Pokemon games, and we can dive into that in the future, like when we get to that point. But with Red and Blue, I've actually felt challenged by it, and as a kid especially, and that's like something I really like nowadays. Is that something? It doesn't hold my hand. Maybe it holds my hand if I wanted to by getting at that level, but it never did. And that's something that I really love. Also, because like I'm also a big fan of Bulbasaur.
Of course. They're the best.
There it is, and that's Bulbasaur deserves the respect that everyone needs to understand. Bulbasaur was hype.
Was great.
What was it?
I gotta say, I love Bulbasaur, but he was never picked ever.
Also,
Never.
really quick thing, Sam. If we can addendum this into like each generation. Can we each say like what? No, we can each say like
what starter
our starter is.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Would love. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Lily. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when I was a kid, I would pick Charizard. Because I had Pokemon Red, and I thought, you had to pick the one that was like on the picture, like an idiot. And then later on, I finally was like, Bulbasaur is so good. Like Brock and Missy, pop, get out of here! Like Bulbasaur, take him down.
Yeah.
I felt like a goober being like.
I mean, I was one of those idiots that always picked the cover for the character. So like my Blue, I was clearly Bulbasaur, I was Squirtle, and then of course with Red, I was clearly Charmander.
Yeah. That's why they changed it.
Screw Yellow for starting the first gym with Brock, and you only have his Pikachu. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
That was the worst.
Yep.
Guys, do you remember that one rumor where if you're on the start screen and you see all the Pokemon flick by the start screen, if you press A on one of the Pokemon, it would be your starter? Like that was another rumor I had.
That's what was magical. So yeah, right. Let's move things along. Let's quickly go for our starters. Cam, who were you? Who did you pick? Gen 1.
I didn't even say anything about Red and Blue though.
Go on, Cam. Go on.
Just keep in mind, we're gonna have to be doing it 14 times.
14. Yeah.
No, for sure. Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to say I'm a purist when it comes to Pokemon, but I think gens like 1 through 3 for me are like peak Pokemon for me. So going forward, just have that mentality. But but no, I think Red and Blue is great. And yeah, I don't think it'll be like super high on the list, but it definitely was just like groundbreaking when it came out and things like that. I have other games that I'm much more passionate about to talk about. So,
go on, Charlie, quickly
right,
give us your piece because
I usually always chose fire starters first, but Bulbasaur is my guy.
Oh yeah, my starters would be Squirtle, but I do like Charizard over Blastoise, but like. Squirtle, man. Gotta go Squirtle.
Charmander, if I had to pick out of all them. Charizard is my guy.
Charizard.
Charmander when I was a kid, Bulbasaur when I was an adult.
So I think we're literally, because I'm Squirtle, so I think we're 2 Squirtle, 2 Charmander, 2 Bulbasaur by the looks of things.
That's actually pretty good. That's good. I thought it'd be like Charizard or Charmander across the board.
Nobody's Pikachu. Nobody gives a crap.
No.
So yeah, Red, Blue, Yellow by default is number 1, but let's move on to Gold, Silver, and Crystal. And these games kind of built on the first ones, added tons of new features, breeding, day-night cycles, like genders, shinies, all sorts.
I am ready to defend this game to the grave.
I was just about to say,
let's go.
Okay,
you don't have to defend it, baby. This is the best one.
So Pokemon Crystal, you can consider Gold and Silver, but specifically Pokemon Crystal. I still got everything. Got the box. I got the cartridge. It's all here. From my childhood, and it is. I think there's an argument that you could argue that it's the greatest JRPG ever made. I legitimately think you could argue that. It is just it surpasses the first game in every single way. It introduces so many new things that, like Sam said earlier, with eggs, the pre-evolutions, and then just like the region-specific things that it has. It's
A
so
female
memorable.
trainer.
A female trainer, yes. So many things that you that like memorable moments in that just going throughout that game, like the Sudowoodo tree,
That son of a bitch.
the bug catching contest, making
Meryl. Love
the
Meryl.
Pokeball Maker,
Yeah.
the subplot with the Ampharos. Like I still to this day have not seen like something like so like it feels like obscure but like also memorable in a Pokemon game, and such as like that subplot right there.
Ampharos is one of my favorite Pokemon because of that, like that special moment.
Yeah.
I just love Ampharos for it.
I love that you have a plushie of it.
It's a legitimate sequel to the first game, which is great. I mean, like, you know, we can go over like, oh, you get to go to the top of the mountain to fight Red, like all those iconic things that like the game is known. But like, there's so much smaller things, and like specifically with Johto, like the architecture is beautiful. Like just
Ecruteak City is one of the most beautiful places in the Pokemon universe.
Like the music is so good. Like Azalea Town. Oh my god!
That's where she got her name. You know,
the battle music is so everything about that game is so good. The pixel art is gorgeous, and it's just there's no flaws. Like I just don't think there's any like I mean like I don't say no flaws, but like it's just like there's very little. I can't like think of anything to like hate about this game. It's like my second favorite game of all time.
When you get to the end of the game and you're like, this game's great, I really love Johto, it's a really great place, and they're like, but guess what? You get to go back to Kanto.
Yeah,
Do Kanto.
It's like you go up this waterfall, you go down there, you don't know what's happening, and you take a couple of steps, and the guy's like, congratulations, you've just made your first steps into Kanto. I'm thinking, what?
Like, I get to go home?
Yeah, it's like one of the most influential moments of my gaming history. That one moment where the guy walks up to you and says, welcome to Kanto, it just blows my mind to this day.
Yeah, and another thing is just like, don't get me wrong, like I know a lot of people like to say like, oh, people like Gold, Silver, Crystal because you get to go back to Kanto. Like that is obviously a part of it. But like everything I just said before that, and also like, you know, because of the anime and because of the game, but more the anime, like we were all like about Gary or Blue as the rival. But then Silver comes in this game is like, hold my fucking beer. His story arc is incredible. Like, and to this day, in my opinion, is the best Pokemon rival of a Pokemon game.
Yep.
And I think that while like this is going to be a different conversation. While I personally prefer Crystal, while I still think like Heart Gold, Soul Silver are like perfect remakes, I still prefer the original because of like more just the art style, like the, you know, things like that, the more like like original design of Pokemon. Like
yeah, we didn't need a petameter added to the game. Nobody needs
Heart Gold, Soul Silver, like not only solidifies that Silver is the best rival in Pokemon still to this day, but even makes it better when they finally do that like confirmation that he's Giovanni's son. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, it's so good. Like, again, there's just very little I can complain about this game. I really can't even think of anything. I'm interested to see like what flaws you guys have with the game, but like I think Crystal is like one of the best games ever made. I think there's an argument that's the best JRPG ever made because anyone can play it. Like, you know, like, or no, I won't say anyone can play it, but like, because that sounds ableist. But you know, just for JRPGs, it's probably one of the most accessible JRPGs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's the most rewarding for sure.
So
I think in terms of like other things that were added, you had the Pokerus added in that point. Steel and Dark types adding the much needed balance from that Psychic Mewtwo in the first game.
This game also added the Night Cycle, right? From
yes, yeah,
Night
which was
Cycle,
awesome.
Eevees, let's talk about things
Eevees?
that.
Bicycle?
Yeah, new Eevees, yeah. Let's talk about one of the most crucial things that I've carried over from this game into like future games where people are just mad about the Apricon balls. So with Kurt and his little Apricon balls, yeah. And then also you had shiny hunting. Like shinies are in the game now. That was fantastic. But like I want to bring up the fact that one of my criticisms about Gold and Silver is that you get to go to Kanto, but there's a certain point in Kanto where like things just get like stupidly hard for no reason. Well, not even hard, but like in terms of the leveling and stuff like that, it just goes out of sync completely. And so you have to train up a bunch to catch up again. But I don't have anything more to say than what Cam said. The plot was great for the game, where you had like Team Rocket experimenting on Pokemon, which leading to that Red Gyarados moment that we got. We had Lance come in the game from the first generation into this game, just blowing up a wall, which was excellent with his Dragonite. And I think it introduced one of the greatest protagonists of all time, with all rivals of all time with Red. To this day, the Pokemon Company give Red that kind of respect that he bloody deserves. And yeah, Pokemon Gold and Silver for me are just special games. Crystal as well, the Suicune Saga, but yeah, it goes straight at the top for me.
Charlie, where do you land on this one?
So this is like the era of Pokemon that I'm the least familiar with. I'm a baby compared to everyone else on this podcast. I was born in 2000, so
baby Pokemon and eggs as well.
but I love Gen.
Lily's lost it.
I love Johto.
Turned 29. And he's
I mean, his parents were like, "Hey, the world's gonna end, so we better do something about it."
Y2K, baby. You're Y2K, baby.
But yeah, I think it's the birth of modern Pokemon, honestly, as we know it. Like, I think Red and Blue, for all of their benefits, was very rough in a lot of ways compared to the quality of life and even just the most bare bones things that we see in Pokemon today. And I think I didn't want to bring this up because we hadn't gotten to Fire Red and Leaf Green at this point, but I think Fire Red and Leaf Green is just an ultimately much more competent, obviously because it is a remake, ultimately better version of those games. And I think the same could be argued for Gold and Silver with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I guess Crystal too, where you see so many things being added, so many improvements being made on top of what's already such an incredible, fantastic game, that I think this is definitely at the top for now. But I think once we get to Heart Gold, Soul Silver, I think there's some more discussion to be had about kind of, the mini games that they added, the updates that they added, the fact that they have they pay homage to the older Game Boy games and stuff like that with like the Game Boy sounds and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that I think Gold and Silver do really well that I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver really capitalize on.
Yeah, I agree. So before we move on to our starters, does anyone disagree that this is number one for now? Or are we happy to just chuck it straight at the top?
Totodile approves.
Yeah, I say it's
Totodile also agrees.
I would put it. This also agrees. Yeah, definitely. It should be. I think just because of Pokemon Crystal. I mean, I let Cam do all the talking because pretty much he and I are on the same page on this. Like, I think I also love Crystal just as much, if not a little less than he does. But he basically hit it out of the park with everything that he said.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Cam's prepared. Had that speech prepared for.
Oh, I told my roommates I will die on this hill. There are 3 games I will die on a hill for, and one of them is that. That Crystal is so good. Like, so good. And I'm so mad that they have not remade it. Or, what they did with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Like, why are you messing with us? Like, that's so messed up.
Yeah, Soul Silver has just so many memories for me.
Crystal, absolutely. If there's any Pokemon game that deserves it, it's Crystal. It's so good. And I don't know why you're doing it. And please, Pokemon Company, why are you doing this?
I'm pretty sure. I love the rumors not that long ago. It was like, let's go Gold and Silver. I was hoping for those things, but we'll.
Was Crystal the one where they first introduced animated sprites as well? Because all the other ones we had sprites come in, but then
Also, bonus points. Just outside of the game itself, Pokemon Crystal has the coolest cartridge of any game ever.
Yes. The look is so cool.
Can I tell you a sad story real quick? Do you know how you can catch the 3 dogs? You have to keep finding them randomly. I didn't actually know how to specifically kind of manipulate it so you find them in the grass. So I finally encounter Suicune. I'm like, oh my god, a Suicune! I catch her for Pokeball. I caught it. I'm shaking. My hands are shaking at this point. I'm running to go tell my dad. I trip over a heater. Batteries fall out. I turn on the game. Suicune gone. I never got it back again.
I love that we all have terrible traumas as kids with Pokemon.
I have a really good story about Pokemon Gold and Silver because this is the first time this game is the first game that I had learned about Pokemon cloning. And okay, now gentlemen, let me tell you how much of a badass I was as a 9. I think it was 9. I was 9 years old, but with Pokemon Gold and Silver, I was on the playground and some kid taught me. He was like, "Hey, do you guys want my level 100 Ho-Oh? Or like, do you want my level 100 Lugia?" And I was like, "What? How? Like, you don't want to get rid of that?" And he was like, No. I'm going to show you how to do Pokemon cloning." So I went, "Oh, what?" So he showed me, and I felt like the coolest kid on the block. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." So later that weekend, my mom went to a family gathering, and like it was like family friends, and I had met this guy who was like 3 years older than me, so he was 12, cute, and he had Pokemon Gold, and I was like, "Hey, do you want my level 100 Lugia?" And he was like, "What?" And then I showed him how to Pokemon clone. He loved me. Loved me. I will not kid you. Because he was holding my hand. He was like, "Oh, do you want to go play over there? Do you want to play? Do you want to battle? Blah, blah." I was like, I could do anything. I could rule the world. Like, I'm
Queen of
awesome.
the
I like how you became a Pokemon dealer. Like, Psst, do you want some Lugia?
I was.
That
I was
legit
really
happened,
no
man. In the
problem.
playgrounds, man, people were charging money to be like, "Yo, I got this level 100, or I got the Game Shark. I'll get you whatever you need. You know, the flying Pikachu or surfing Pikachu." 100% that happened.
I just like used it. I gave my friends, like, you know, I traded with them or whatever. But with this moment, I was like, "Damn, look at me go!" Like,
I'm
I
going to
hustled for
quickly tell
someone's
my. I'm going to tell my gold story quickly. Then we need to move it on. So
Okay.
I still have a scar. You're not going to see it. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
do see it. I do
This
see
is
it.
like the scene in Chasing
From
Amy. I
Pokemon.
love it.
So I had just got back from my grandma's in the back of my mum's car, got out of the car, and one of my friends was playing on the street and he was getting bullied by another guy. So me, Pokemon in hand, it's like, leave my friend alone. And I was probably, 8, 9. And so this bully dude, he like chased me down back to my parents' house and pushed me over with Pokemon Gold in my hand. My Game Boy flew across the street. The batteries fell out, and I cut my hand up, and I still have that scar to this day. And I remember it from playing Pokemon Gold.
Are you still looking for that guy? Just like revenge. He's playing like Red Dead Redemption 2 and just like, surprise, motherfucker.
So yeah, we need to move it along.
Okay.
Gold, Silver, Crystal is at the top. Cam, who's your starter pick?
Totodile. For the
Totodile
audio
is my-
listeners.
My favorite starter of all time. One of my like top 5 Pokemon for me, probably like top 5.
Absolutely.
Pokemon for me.
Absolutely.
I will go with Totodile as well.
Charlie?
I've played through. I've never played through the original. Well, I've never played through the original start to finish. But every time I restart Heart Gold, I usually. This is so hard because I've played through like 7 times. I've played through like 7 times, and I've picked a different one every single. Like I've gone through the game with all 3 multiple times. Probably Cyndaquil, but it's so.
Lily.
I'm also
I
Cyndaquil.
love. I was just gonna say I love all these starters. Like honestly,
Yeah,
like
they're all
Chikorita. I'm gonna say right here, Chikorita gets too much hate.
It makes me so
Chikorita
mad.
gets too much hate. Like yes, Meganium
fuck
is
that.
by far statistically the worst starter. That's fine.
ever.
But
Also,
Chikorita's cute.
Yeah.
Chikorita's
also
great.
one of the best Hispanic Pokemon ever. Anyways, continue.
I'm Totodile gang. So yeah, cool. Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal is at the top, and then we move on to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald.
Trumpets, baby! Yeah! I just love trumpets.
The last of the Game Boy Pokemon games from 2002, which again added like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff we see now, nature's abilities, EVs, IVs, stuff like that. Who
Double
wants to
battles.
start us off on these ones?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I think-
like Ruby and Sapphire, such fun games and so much like heart to them. Like I read this article about, I think it was Masuda or was it? I don't know. It was either Masuda or Satoshi who was basically saying that the whole concept of like these secret bases was basically around his little travels in the summer. What was it? Cam, you know the story, right? Well, I think it was Masuda. He used to, like, on holiday, travel to, like, this rural part of Japan, and he used to hide in these little bases and stuff like that, and he decided to put it in Ruby and Sapphire. Having your own little hidden base where you can put, like, little plushes like this, it's just so much fun. And, like, yeah, I love Ruby and Sapphire.
I think
on,
Hoenn
Cam.
is. I think Hoenn is probably the most unique region, just because of
Yeah.
how heavy, like like how water based it is, but like I loved like traveling the seas in that game. I loved going underwater. I loved diving. I loved just you know, the variety of new Pokemon. Double battles were introduced, which were great, especially because one of the the seventh gym was an actual double battle gym, which was cool. I think that I think the thing that was most impressive for me as someone who like has loved Pokemon Crystal for, you know, going on probably up to 20 years now, is how Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald grabbed me with like because I was just like, how are they going to top Crystal, like, for me? And they didn't, but it felt incredibly fresh, incredibly new, and despite it still being like in the, you know, like, I feel like that there was a big jump like across the board from like Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald to Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, that like I still feel like that there was still a big jump between Game Boy, you know, Johto and Hoenn, in the sense of like, not in just the sense of the art and things like that, but it just felt like a completely like new experience for Pokemon, if that makes sense. Well, I feel like that's kind of like maybe like, since I think Sun and Moon was like the last game I kind of felt that way, and that's just because they tried something different with like the island trials and stuff like that. But like after Hoenn, just Sinnoh, like, what I think is a solid region, Unova, and I forgot X and Y's region.
Kalos.
Kalos. They all kind of just felt like, okay, this is just more Pokemon. But like Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald just had everything it needed to still stand out on its own, being like, even though it's not my favorite Pokemon, it's still like fantastic for what it is. And I put hundreds of hours into Ruby Sapphire. I love that. I love that game. I love everything about it. It's really, really great. It's my second favorite of the Pokemon games.
I guess, like, going off Cam, I think what made it special really is like when you're traversing the environments, and maybe this is why it felt different from like the other games going forward, is like we had weather in this game as well, where you had the rain, you had the sun, you had all these different conditions. Like Ruby and Sapphire were different enough because you were facing against two different teams. You know, one wanted to expand the land, one wanted to drown the land and make some more water for some reason. 7.8. EVs and IVs were like expanded upon in this game. So instead, I think this is where they introduced like the 5-10 EVs. That's so crucial for like battling and stuff like that. In terms of characters, we had one of my favorite champion, who's Steven. Such an interesting character. You meet him outside of like the Elite Four for the first time, and it's just a solid game. Natures and abilities are not to be underestimated. They add so much to the gameplay in this game.
Yeah, cool.
Everyone forgets the most important part of this game. Also, funny enough, this is like, I think this is the only Game Boy Advance game that's a Pokemon game, because it's not for the Game Boy, it's for the Game Boy Advance, and I think that's like that adds so much technical wise. It's like it's just a huge jump, whether it be like a tiny one, but to me it felt like a huge jump when I played from Crystal to Emerald, because it felt more vibrant to me. Like I definitely felt like if Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald were your first game, you wouldn't be disappointed. But everyone forgets the most important thing about these games, and that's the secret bases they used to be able to go into and do, which was, I thought, for me, like, maybe it's because like I just like something that's a bit more personal to me, but it's like it was really cool to be able to like go to a tree and be like, do you want to make this your secret base? And you could do that, and like you can add all these little things like knickknacks or whatever that you could put around the base, and it just felt like your own personal home within like the Pokemon game. Because I know that in the future games, I don't remember which one it is, but they like you can go underground and you have to like log into like that was super random, and I don't think it was as well done as the secret bases, but it was just so nice to have something that you could go to and like relax, I guess, like the way that I want to say it. And I wish they had implemented it in other games just like this, where you didn't have to connect online or do anything like that. It was just very basic, but it was very, I guess it felt more personal to me, like a home for me as a gamer.
Lily, how many times did you go around trying to find the biggest base possible?
Oh, I didn't even try to find the biggest base. There was an area, I don't remember. Oh, I want to find where exactly it is, but it's in a lake, and the only way you can get to this tree is by using surf and going to it, and you can make this tree into your secret base. And in my brain, my brain, I was like, haha, no NPC can get to this tree, only me. So that's what I did. I always just like picked the specific base, and it was like much farther out. So that was my favorite thing. It was never finding the biggest one. It was the one that was the most secluded because I didn't want to be near NPCs or people.
Yeah, I think that was a nice change of pace. The bases.
It was nice. It just made it more. I don't know. Like when I think about games that I'd like to go back to, it's always that one because of like it's either that or Crystal. Like I'll go back to those just because it's like how like I liked how personal I could make it. So. Yeah,
I will say I didn't mess with the bases at all. Like I saw them, like why is this a thing? Like I like it just like if it was more I don't know, if like bases became a thing like today, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. You can bring your if they like added a little bit of like Animal Crossing into Pokemon. Like I'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Giovanni just turns up. You're like, wait, what are you doing here?
Get out of my house.
But at that time, I was just like, oh, this doesn't really do much for me. But something that we should talk about because we haven't, which I feel like is a big, like, kind of other half of this game, are the Pokemon contests. I love the Pokemon.
Oh my god, yes!
Like, I can't believe I almost forgot about it too, and I was just like, because and the reason why I remembered specifically was because of that mini game in the I don't remember if it's the Pokemon Center or if it's in the ribbon place where the ribbons, yes. You're making the treats for your Pokemon, and you have to click. You have to click whenever it hits the arrows. I spent at least 100 hours just playing that one game on there when, as a kid.
Yes.
It was so much fun.
The Puffin Maker.
I think Puffins are from Sinnoh.
Pokeblocks, but they're pretty much the same thing. They're pretty much the same thing.
It was just so addicting. It was so because it would get faster and faster. I'm like, yes. Oh no, it was like the perfect mini game. I loved it so much. That's another thing that I want. But yeah, no, the Pokemon contests were great. Getting trying to get the first place at every location. It wasn't like designed the same way as the gyms where you like I if I remember correctly, where like once you win them all, you're like the contest master or anything like that. But it was still like really, really cool that they when they had those in the game for sure.
Definitely,
a lot of quality of life updates.
Yeah. Charlie, Mario, anything to add?
Okay. I definitely agree with a lot of the things that have been said so far. Like the secret bases are a really cool addition. All the different battle level additions that they've made are really cool. And then obviously the sprite work, the visual, graphical, technical upgrades that come with being on the new hardware is really, really important because I think that sprite work for all of Gen 3 is fantastic. When I say Gen 3, I also include Fire Red and Leaf Green. But I think I don't know if I necessarily agree with what Cam said about it being the last kind of unique, lively region. I think that it has a lot of really cool visuals, a lot of really cool designs, but I think the region as a layout is really, really messy. And I think that kind of breaks up the pacing of the game. If you don't know what you're doing with rappel, surfing can be just such a pain in the ass. And I did enjoy diving. I think there were a lot of cave surfing, diving, where that when I played it, I think I played it in platinum back to back, so I must have been 7 or 8 at the time. And I just
let's not talk about the bikes either, because
I think there's a lot of stuff that's in there that, as far as Pokemon games go, I think it reminds me a lot of Sun and Moon, where it tries a lot, but some of the things just don't really land in the way that they're supposed to. And that's why I think ultimately, I definitely enjoy these games, especially Emerald, more than Red and Blue. But having revisited it a couple times, playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire especially, has kind of soured me on the Hoenn region in general, I'm afraid to say. But yeah.
Mario?
Honestly, this was a generation. At this time, I already switched teams. I've gone and watched Yu-Gi-Oh and listened to Who Stank. So
Yu-Gi-Oh at the same age. What? No.
I'm just saying, I just switched teams. I was gonna. Well, the first joke I was gonna be was Digimon, but I'm like, it's too close.
Oh God, no. Oh
So
God, no.
I moved on.
He got his game on.
I moved on. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go play more cards. I like cards. Listen to Hoobastank more. This is where I am at. But yeah, this generation I completely skipped, so I actually don't have anything to say.
Okay, Woodsy, I know you want to move on, but two quick things. The rivals for me, May and Wally, two great rivals. And
rivals.
I'll be remiss if I didn't add the greatest piece of post-game content to this motherfucking day, the Battle Frontier. That's it. That's what I'm ending it with. I never beat it. Too hard.
Go on, Charlie, very quickly.
Sinnoh has it too, though.
Fair enough, but I thought Hoenn was a lot better with it. Just
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to very quickly say my piece. Emerald. So loved red, blue, yellow. Loved gold, silver, crystal even more. Emerald was the first game like I properly got into. Like I deep dived into everything, and I was focused on building the perfect team and doing everything the right way. Whereas the two earlier games were the games that I loved to bits, but I just played for the adventure. Emerald was where I really like dug deeper into it. Would I put it above gold and silver? No, but I would probably put it in second place. What's everyone thinking?
I agree.
I think we're all on the same page there. Oh yeah, our starters.
Starters, yeah. Lily, who was your starter from Gen 3?
If I remember correctly, I believe it was Mudkip. Yeah, and it was not because of so I heard you like Mudkips. I think I just really liked Mudkip a lot. His design was just so weird. I loved it.
As a kid, I picked Mudkip, but I didn't like Swamp. Because here's the thing. For me,
Swamper's
like
weird.
I'm very much about. I know a lot of people like aren't like this, but I am really passionate about the Pokemon designs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw Swampert, first when I saw Marshtomp, I'm like, oh my god. And then when I saw Swampert, I'm like, this isn't worse, but this is still not great. And then I saw fucking Blaziken, and I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I saw Sceptile, I'm like, excuse me? So nowadays I pick Torchic, but when I was a kid, I picked Mudkip.
That's how I felt about Rowlet when I saw his final evolution. I was like, wait, what?
No, Rowlet's fucking amazing. No,
Rowlet, his final evolution. I was like,
okay,
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was about to say like Rowlet is my favorite. Is probably my favorite starter after Totodile. So,
Charlie, who was your starter from this gen?
Definitely Torchic. I think after Gen 1, you're all gonna notice a pattern where I pretty much always choose fire starters. So, yeah, definitely Torchic.
Dark Magician. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I was Mudkip as well.
We all like Mudkips in this household, so that's good.
Of course.
So if I'm correct, we've got gold, silver, crystal at the top. Then we've got ruby and sapphire, and then in third place, red, blue, and yellow. Which we're on the 4th out of 14 games here, guys.
We're doing great. We're doing great.
I think we're going to have less to say the more we go on, for sure.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, this Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, rumored to be potentially getting a remake. This was the first time a lot of the online features came in. So who wants to start us off here? Anybody have any particular feelings?
This is what Charlie's been waiting for.
All right. So here's the thing. Platinum was my first Pokemon game. I was so excited to get it. Like I got it the day it came out. I was in 3rd grade. I was just like playing with my friends on the playground, just talking about Pokemon. I had no idea what I was talking about, what anybody else was saying, because I got into it late. A lot of my friends had played Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby. Some had even played Gold, Silver, and Crystal. But Platinum was my first game, and I think. Cam talking about Hoenn's uniqueness, I think Sinnoh is also really interesting in that respect because while Hoenn's kind of this tropical paradise in a lot of ways, I think Sinnoh is really interesting because it's basically a stand-in for Hokkaido in Japan, which is just like that northernmost island up there. And so there's a lot of like really cool, peaceful kind of rural areas to it, lots of snow, lots of beautiful imagery related to that. And I think that while Sinnoh might not necessarily be the best game, I think Sinnoh has the best region design and music and just general aesthetics. Well, not necessarily the best sprite work. I don't think the sprite work for that era is aged very well, but I think if everything were able to be in like the Gen 3 or Gen 5 engine with the really incredible sprite work, I think the people who aren't a big fan of the region would sing a different tune. But I also think coming off of Hoenn, I think and the other two games before it, I think it feels like a much more of a serious culmination of every other Pokemon to date in a really, really powerful way, where it takes all these things that have been introduced and kind of shows you why they're there, shows you why they're important. From like moments with I remember talking to NPCs about abilities and stuff for the first time, which I hadn't seen in Emerald, having gone back and played it. I just like probably totally missed it, to be honest. But it felt like a lot of the things that were introduced up to that point started to matter in a more serious way. And I also think that it did a lot of the post-game things that other games included in a really awesome way. You had the resorts, you had the Battle Frontier, and then you even had the underground thing, which I know Lily's not a fan of, and it seems like some other people aren't as hot on. But I think it's a lot like the secret bases in that you have the ability to actually make your secret base, but then there's a bunch of mini games on top of that. Mm-hmm. It gives you options to get fossil Pokemon, find items to bring them up ground and use in battle.
That thing of going underground and like tapping on the wall and be like, do I risk this last tap or do I not risk this last tap? Yeah, that was
and I think it like that underground thing, while it's maybe not as kind of vibrant and lush and like fun looking as the secret bases, I think it adds a lot of like cool gameplay elements to it. Like you can run around, you can set traps for your friends, you can mine for stuff, you can do all these things underground, which I think is what the secret bases really needed for people who didn't check it out. Like I did, like Cam, I didn't check out the secret bases at all either. But the secret bases in Sinnoh were a lot more compelling to me because there was more motivation and more reward to it.
Chaz, I just want to say, like, when you're talking about learning about abilities and stuff like that for the first time, you're not imagining that, because Generation 4 is when competitive was essentially complete as a package, because they introduced one of the most crucial things in Pokemon games, full stop, special physical split with moves.
Wait, I think the split was earlier than that.
I think it might have been like XD Gale of Darkness, but in terms of mainline games, like, this is the first mainline game that introduced that split, so, yeah. And, like, Sinnoh as a region, I totally agree. It's charming. It's what I always remember Snowpoint City and get my Glaceon near there. Glaceon's my favorite evolution. And like in terms of characters, like and music, like meeting Cynthia in the league, hearing her theme tune, and getting wiped out constantly by the fucking Spiritomb. Man. I love Sinnoh, but I don't. It's for me. It's one of those games I've played several times, but it doesn't elicit the same response that I get from like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, for example, or Silver and Gold. But I can admit it's probably because I'm from that generation of Pokemon games, and like I think there's definitely on the internet there's another generation of people who grew up with Gen 4, and that's why that holds slightly more like it holds a special place in their heart, let's say.
Yeah. Was that the one with the airport?
No, that's
the airport is Black and White too, which is
flipping heck. Okay.
I will say. Oh, go ahead, Cam.
Okay, I think like the main thing for me when I'm hearing Charlie talk about Sinnoh is that like for me in like Crystal, everything that is like added to the game or anything that is like whether it be like a feature or like a technical thing or like just things that you can do in the game in general, like that's specific to that region, it all plays a direct purpose to the like main game, where like kind of like what you're saying with like the main story, like the main like adventure, if that makes sense. Which is why like for Sinnoh with like the stuff that you said, like the things that they added with the secret bases, like that still did not interest me at all. Like I don't even think I knew some of the stuff you were telling me because I just didn't care to look into it. Like if that makes sense. But I think that like I don't like Sinnoh was like the first game where I just kind of like missed the immediate jumping on point because I didn't have a DS when it came out. But when I eventually did, My buddy let me borrow his Pearl version. I wanted Diamond, but he let me borrow. I was like, I'm good, you know. And I was like, I played through the game. It was just like, I just think in general, it's just like, it's fine. Like I heard like Platinum is honestly a big step forward, for Sinnoh in that sense. But like for I only got to play Pearl, and so for me, it was just like, this is fine. But I've heard like, I know a lot of people like will fight and say that Platinum is like the best Pokemon game. I've heard that more than once.
Platinum,
Go ahead.
no, Platinum's the one that I in this generation that I got to play after my sad, flea market story. But basically, this is to me Pokemon getting into its for Platinum specifically. It's Pokemon getting into its metal phase. Because there was some cool themes in the story in terms of like fighting the giant hell monster near the end of this one specifically, and I think I enjoyed the darkness of this world and the more dark. Pokemon's dark.
They introduced Looker as well in Pokemon Platinum.
Wanted to like kill everyone.
Yeah. Looker was like such a huge character in the Pokemon franchise, awesome. And he was introduced in Platinum as well. So it added to the story a lot.
So those are the things that resonate with me with specifically is that I felt like the darkness was now becoming part of the story, but very much so. In terms of the rankings that we have now, I would still put it at the bottom in terms of what we were.
Yeah, Lily, what was it you wanted to add quickly before Cam jumped in?
Okay, yeah. The only thing I would say is that the thing that I really liked about what was it?
Diamond Pearl.
Thank you. Yes, I had like a moment. I was like, Diamond Pearl Platinum. Okay. But the thing that I really liked was the Wi-Fi connectivity because it used like everything that the Nintendo DS had. Like you could actually talk to people, which is like the weirdest thing because like granted when we think about like no offense to Nintendo, but like the online right now, like voice chat and everything.
Nintendo, they deserve it.
But it's like there's so many issues to it. But back then it was like so easy and so basic to like you could just use your Nintendo DS and communicate with people. Granted, it wasn't like HD high quality or whatever, but it was good. It was good for the time. So like I think that's great. The only thing I would nix this on is that the look of it isn't like you're jumping from a Game Boy Advance game with like Emerald and you're jumping to the Nintendo DS. And I don't think technically there's a lot to be proud of. And I say like the technical wise, like not story, not the Pokemon, just like how it looks doesn't improve to me. And that's a bit of a detriment because you're going from one system to a system that should be greater than a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
so that's what I would say.
I totally agree. I don't really think that the DS jump is fully realized until Heart Gold, Soul Silver, maybe even Black and White.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that that's kind of indicative of a somewhat disappointing, honestly, trend of Pokemon games recently, where when a new console comes out, the first Pokemon games on there will look like games from the previous console. Like Pokemon Let's Go could totally look. You could totally see how that looks like a 3DS game, right? Is basically what I'm trying to say. And I think, I'm not trying to be one of those. The tree looks ugly. Pokemon's lazy, but I do definitely agree that like I think Platinum was kind of the start of that trend.
Yeah, I would say I don't want to be that person who's like, oh well, it has to always look like technically beautiful or whatever. I'm saying it more like in the sense of, at the time it just feels like you could put this game on a Game Boy Advance and you would be happy.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I mean. More like not like oh that tree looks oh.
Oh no!
Randomly, I'm so sorry.
Cam couldn't take
I was just listening, and it just like
Cam was done.
It just like restart on me. I don't know what that was at all. I'm so sorry.
So I'm gonna take that note to quickly say my piece, and that's
go for it.
I couldn't even really remember. This is my problem with Diamond and Pearl and Black and White. Is I don't think there's enough that differentiates these games and makes them feel particularly special. So I'm kind of with Mario and putting them at the bottom. I don't know. I know Charlie will probably have something to say about it.
I think the same could be said for Kanto, though. I mean, what does it have aside from being the first one?
I mean, agree. I'm kind of on the same page in the sense of like, I could see either red and blue or like diamond, pearl, platinum. Which is kind of like why I'm saying we were discussing this earlier, Sam, off stream about like separating, like the thirds from the first two pairs, because I would definitely put platinum just from word of mouth alone above red and blue.
I think
But like
platinum.
if we're putting diamond and pearl in that conversation, it's just like, okay, now what are we gonna do? You know what I mean?
If I could just jump in, I think red, blue, and even yellow. I know that even though they're the first, I still think that they are the most things on there that are most iconic to the series as a whole.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Still, I think are still, from even my remembrance of playing Platinum, I still rather live in that world than live in the Platinum world. And I'm talking about gym leaders. I'm talking about professors, the Elite Four, your rival. I'm saying all of those things. I think is what still makes it so powerful. Not just nostalgic, but I think those characters are still great. In comparison to, say, Pearl, Platinum, or Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, personally.
I think in this conversation, specifically like comparing red and blue and then Sinnoh, is just what do you specifically look for in a Pokemon game? Like what is it that like speaks to you when it comes to Pokemon? And like I'm kind of on the same boat with Mario, like the characters, like the world, the actual Pokemon that you're in, like, because Sinnoh is also the first like generation where I'm just like, these designs aren't great.
Guys, I'm sorry. You I can't believe I was muted that entire time. I can't believe we're having this conversation. Like, you can't put platinum below red, blue, and yellow. Like,
Thank you.
Fire red and leaf green is a different like story, but right now we can't. We're gonna be mocked for days on this, guys.
Yeah,
Look, I'm happy to bear all the
I
responsibility.
can
Angry
play
people
red, blue, and
contact
yellow
me,
on a
but-
Nintendo 64 if I want to play Pokemon Stadium. I can't play Platinum on 64. I'm sorry. I
you
can't
can play it on Battle Revolution on the Wii though.
Listen, I can play Skyrim on a toaster. It does not mean it's getting anywhere near anything else on this list. Mostly because it's a Pokemon game, but like,
if we're sticking to the rule that Platinum is bundled in with Diamond and Pearl, I'm I'm going to go Platinum above Kanto. It hurts
We're
me
outvoted,
that I
Mario.
prefer it, but I know that it's a better. Like, I know it's better, but it's
So
just
that's 3 out of 6.
I think honestly we should talk about if we're gonna split the third version. I think
We're not.
No, we're not. We're not.
We're not.
I was gonna say I could
we're
see
not
Platinum
doing
being
that.
above Emerald, but
look,
Yeah.
I'll give you one reason why we're putting Gen 4 above Gen 1 here, and that's because Jasmine turns up at Sunny Point City for no reason. There we go. Let's stop arguing now. I chose Turtwig, by the way, and that made my life utter hell in Diamond. It made my life utter hell.
Yeah, there are things that I like a lot about Sinnoh. Like I agree. Like I think that Cynthia is like, after Lance, she's my favorite champion. Like
Unreal, yeah.
I would say that. Or just in the sense of like variety of Pokemon and things like that. Like I still think Steve is great as well. But that fucking Cradley, dude, that fucking Cradley. Anyway, but yeah, so there are things that I really enjoy about Sinnoh, and I hope that if they do this remake, that like I come to it again and I'm going to enjoy it much more this time around. But I think it's just because I missed out on Platinum is why I feel a little bit more low bar about it. So we'll see. But I think that Platinum should definitely go above Red and Blue.
Put it at number 3.
What's the rationale for everyone between Johto? Because from what I've heard, they sound the same from all of your opinions.
Wait, what?
Aside from visually, it seems like you all pretty much feel the same about Platinum and Johto, aside from like an unquantifiable nostalgia factor.
Ooh, we're getting to the weeds of it, ladies and gentlemen. Bring it on. I'm gonna let my cat in because she started crying. But go ahead, fight it out. I'm ready. Here we go. Don't worry.
Look,
I think we're gonna have to have a follow-up conversation on this because, like, it's gonna take a while. And Woodley's already like sending me messages like "shut up." Like,
I don't really understand what you're trying to say, Charlie. Because, like, I mean, I feel like everything that we're saying, like, we weren't, like, very little of it was nostalgic.
I literally had to get up for that. Oh my god. Yeah.
Like when it came to Johto.
Keep going.
Like, cause because like Johto wasn't my Crystal wasn't my first Pokemon game. Like, it's not, like,
no, Red was mine as well.
How Platinum was for you, but like just again, like Johto just, I mean, Crystal just it's the complete package to me.
Yeah.
It's just the complete package, and I think that there are more, like, even if you do have like some like minuscule issues with Crystal with the leveling and which like how retro JRPGs were back in the day where you had to grind at some points. Whitney's mill tank can be a pain, but honestly that is kind of more the charm of the game.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Hang on, we're gonna have to put it like at the bottom now. I forgot about that. Yeah, god.
Things like that.
But how does this tie into Hoenn?
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about Johto. I think Johto's.
Oh, yeah, I think you said Johto.
Okay.
That's why we're
I swear you said Johto. I was like, so you're basically wanting to try and get Sinnoh over Hoenn. Is that where you're at right now?
Not enough trumpets, sorry, dude.
For me, just the overall story, the overall like exploration of Hoenn was much more charming and adventurous to me. I get that, like there is a lot of water, and that like the things that you're saying are valid, but like
But that doesn't have anything to do with the story.
No, I'm just saying like all. I'm putting all the factors.
I know. I'm saying I'm boosting your point.
Oh, okay. Pokemon contests are great. I like the legendaries like in general more. I mean, it's nice that Sinnoh has like a lot of legendaries, which is really cool. But I don't know. I just I think the design of the cities are cooler too.
Yeah.
It was also the first like era to introduce like all those events and stuff too, that I think is like really cool, like post game content. Which once we get to talking about Heart Gold Soul Silver, that's something that I'm excited to bring up. But I think that's
cool,
something that came interested.
Right, I think we're in agreement. I think above red, blue, and yellow.
Charlie, I respect you so much.
It could be a separate DS video if you want. I want you guys to hash it out a separate DS video.
I can't wait to like finish this, and Cam and Chaz are just gonna stay behind and just start arguing.
100%. So what is
Pokemon? I swear to God,
I'm legitimately going to try and get a copy of Platinum and play it, and then
I have two. I'll mail you one.
Can I buy it off you?
I have
Sure.
I have the cool run.
Do you have box?
No,
Do you have box?
I think so. I have the case. I don't have it fully sealed though.
All right, talk about this later, guys. Talk about this later.
Yeah.
We gotta move on.
This is
Okay. What are we? So what are we ranking this? We're ranking at 4, right? Okay, cool.
3.
Oh, whoa!
Where are the votes? Where are the votes at? I just want to make sure.
So much for this.
Where's the votes? You know what I'm saying?
We're going through. Right, Black
starters.
Starters quickly. Turtwig.
Okay.
Cam.
The ape.
I first picked Piplup because water, but now I would pick Turtwig.
Don't do it.
Charlie.
Torterra.
This is a simple one-word fucking answer.
Mario.
The monkey.
Chimchar.
I did
Lily.
Piplup.
Cool. Kuamil, who would you pick?
Oh, Turtwig, because I hate my life.
Cool. Black and white.